So using Zapier in the process, Cast Magic itself, we use Cast Magic for all of our shows. It is fast, it is accurate to get
As business owners, as people that like genuinely trying to solve a meaningful problem.
the Industrial Revolution can't allow one person in the same way to do the work of millions in theory.
I love that you research before you go and put anything out, because now anyone with a social media account has a voice. Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to Amplify AI. Consider this podcast your digital compass for you, the business leader wanting to use artificial intelligence ethically and in alignment with your brand's identity to achieve your business goals. Leading and running a business in the world of AI is like solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But this podcast and I are here to make that easy. Every episode is a masterclass in unlocking techniques for using AI as a business leader, founder, owner. Thanks for being here. Let's learn.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Episode number 81 of Amplify AI. My name is Ronsley, and this is part 2 of my 2-part series with Jordan Wilson, who is the host of Everyday AI. It is a fast-growing media company as well as a podcast that you'll find on every podcast platform. And it is about helping everyday professionals grow their companies and careers with generative AI through his live stream, podcast, and newsletter. Go check out Jordan Wilson. But today is the second part of our 2-part series. If you haven't watched or listened to the previous one, go check that out. Today we're talking about the emphasis on responsibility and accuracy, the innovative research and publishing techniques that come when you're using AI, the impact of AI on business and podcasting, and how you can use some really cool tools, and the urgency in adopting AI technologies today because it can really help you with reducing human cognitive load, especially on you and your team. So if you're not doing AI right now, I highly suggest you get involved and learn how this is going to be easily the biggest conversation of our lifetime. Come, let's learn.
I definitely want to find out what AI you're using for your research, but I also want to find out, how do you publish your podcast 2 or 3 minutes after you hit end stream? What is your process? What tools are you using to research? Because I love that you research before you go and put anything out, because now anyone with a social media account has a voice, which is great, but having an uninformed voice is probably the worst thing, really, because the people picking up on wrong information. What are you using for research in AI? And then how do you publish your podcast after you end your stream?
Let's start like pre-show and kind of AI tools and how I use those in my research. And that is one thing for me, it's extremely important. AI is used for like misinformation and disinformation. I carry that responsibility. I hold that tightly, that I want people to be able to trust our show, and that when they hear me say something, and I think, our audience that has been around for a long time, our loyal listeners, they know, like, that is my background as a journalist. Like, just because a company says something, I think maybe that's why we've, kind of gained a little steam, is because if a company says like, oh, blah, 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 this, I don't say that on the show, right? Like, I go test it. And I'm like, oh, hey, company said this, wrong, right? We just did 5 different tests on 5 different accounts, and that's not it, right? So we're not just a mouthpiece for big tech, putting out their AI products. They have enough money to spend on marketing. We are not it. So even our process. So I have, as an example, obviously I spend so much time in ChatGPT. So we have kind of a process. I kind of walked you through kind of like proper prompting. So we build what are called expert chats inside of ChatGPT. So it's essentially, we've trained different chats inside of ChatGPT to help us, right? So I have a chat, and some people on my team have their own certain chats where I can, as an example, throw in a super long research paper. Maybe it's a 50-page paper, and I don't have time to read 10 of these papers a day, but I've trained a chat inside of ChatGPT to know what it is that I care about, to know what my audience cares about, to know how I like to learn. Like my chat knows I like alliteration, I like similes, I like metaphors, I like bullet points, so I can put a 50-page paper into an expert chat that I've trained inside ChatGPT it's going to find that, probably one page worth that's probably on 50 different pages, a paragraph here, a paragraph there. And it's going to say, oh, here's what you and your audience care about in this long paper. And here's how you need it conveyed so that you can quickly absorb it. I'll say this. I forget more AI information than I'd say most people ever learn because of AI, I'm looking at AI news summaries, report summaries.
I love it. I thank you for explaining that. That's a great sort of use case of how to use, the different AIs available. Okay, you use that for research. Let's talk about after you hit end stream, how do you publish your podcast so quickly?
I'll tell a story that's actually timely that will answer that question. So today on my show, I had a guy named Blaine. He's amazing. So he is the CEO of a company called Cast Magic, right? So after I hit end stream or whatever, I chat with Blaine for 10 minutes afterwards after we're done recording, right? By the time I'm done, one of my coworkers, Brandon, he helps produce the show. After that 10-minute conversation, and I do that almost every day, a 10-minute conversation. In most cases, the podcast is already distributed on all major platforms, right? So, and we're also trying to get ways to make that like 10-minute turnaround even faster, right? So using Zapier in the process, Cast Magic itself, we use Cast Magic for all of our shows. It is fast, it is accurate to get our podcast transcript, to get our subtitles. I mean, you put a 30-minute podcast in there and it's done usually within like 30 to 40 seconds and it is accurate, right? And then from there, it's taking it straight to Buzzsprout, right? So at least for our audio, what we need to actually get the podcast, quote unquote, out the door and how it's sometimes published before I'm done saying goodbye to to whoever I interview that day. Cast Magic is a huge part of that. For videos, and this is afterwards, right? So we use like video AI to cut up and repurpose like short social clips. I don't know if anyone actually watches them, but we put them out there, like when I remember to send them to guests, I think guests probably like them, or use them more than we even do. We, if I'm being honest, I don't pay too much attention to social media. I know like in the podcasting world, everyone's like, oh, cut up, short vertical videos. And that's how you grow your podcast. Is that the truth? I don't know. Probably not. It depends on supply and demand and what your podcast, the topic that it covers, and how much short vertical video content there is covering those things. There's way too much. I could talk more AI tools all day, but for the most part, it's a combination of, well, we're trying to get better with Zapier after the show, but it's going from StreamYard straight into Cast Magic, straight into Buzzsprout. We use their magic mastering and, they have, some nice little AI things in there. And it's done, right? Like it's done immediately.
Amazing. Wow. I just logged into Cast Magic and I realized that I tried something on June 30th, 2023, and I uploaded something and then I totally forgot that I used it. So I'm going to definitely check out Cast Magic more. I definitely want to ask you this question before we land this plane, because especially because of how you're keeping the values of a journalist, because I feel very strongly about that, especially through COVID, when we could not trust any journalists and we couldn't trust the truth and we didn't know where to go for our real information. So I'm so glad that you're so strict about your research and how you put your work out there. I really, really love that. What are you seeing in the AI space that we should all know about? Like, what are you noticing? What kind of conversations are you having that are repeating as business owners, as people that like genuinely trying to solve a meaningful problem for their audience? In a sense, that's why they usually give up a lot of their other parts of their life that they kind of feel comfortable in and decide to go down this path of business owner, situation. So what should we pay attention to?
Oh man. You said you wanted to land the plane, Ronsley. Like this might get me talking for like an hour straight. Oh gosh, I can't say everything. And it depends. Like, are you asking like for podcasters specifically? Are you saying for business leaders, not outside of podcasting? Are you asking in general? I should clarify that before I accidentally go on a rant.
Let's use business leaders as the audience. And what are you seeing from that perspective? Because I think we can all appreciate that this is going to be the biggest conversation of our lifetime, artificial intelligence. A lot of us are inside it. We're finding better ways to explain it. But what are you seeing in terms of trends that are repeating, things that you're having conversations about over and over again, things that we should be aware of?
So I accidentally came up with this little saying on the fly. So I'm going to repeat it. Hopefully I got it right. So I'd say in general, 2023 for AI was the year of experimentation. 2024 is the year of implementation. And 2025 is the year of expiration if you aren't already on that path, right? I'd hate to be the grim reaper, but that's the truth, right? Like if you are not already implementing generative AI into your workflow, you are asking to either go out of business or to get acquired, maybe at a rate that you would not want to get acquired at. Let's say you've been the CEO of a company for 30 years, right? You started early, you're still going strong. You had a good 15 years or more to figure out the whole internet thing. 1999 comes around, we don't need a website. You wait 5 years, maybe a website soon. 5 more years, you're like, all right, here we are, 2009, we got a website, right? And then social media, you do the same thing. You kick the can down the street and you're fine. Like you're fine, you're good, you're still thriving. It's not how it is with generative AI. You will go out of business, period. You will. Generative AI is a technology unlike anything that we've ever seen before. Like you can't even compare it to, like, as an example, the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution can't allow one person in the same way to do the work of millions in theory, or hundreds of thousands without a huge capital investment, right? Now, all you need is a couple of dollars, patience, and a skill set, right? Like pretty famous interview where I always forget if it was Sam Altman or Mark Zuckerberg who said, like, we're going to see a single person billion-dollar company. And it's possible. You told someone that 3 years ago, 10 years ago, you'd be like, no, like you're wild, right? I honestly see the capabilities for a small team of 10. They can take over a team of 10,000. If that team of 10,000 is still doing business like they were doing business 5 years ago, and if they're not using generative AI, I don't care. Like if I had to make a bet and say who's gonna like be in better standing 2 years from now, I'm taking the team of 10. They are young, they are agile, they're probably working on systems and platforms that are more efficient. They're probably using marketing automation. They're probably using AI agents. Like you can literally, one person who's smart can do the work of dozens or hundreds. And if you're doing it in a more efficient way versus companies that are just saying, we're gonna pay this group of 100 people to still read these PDFs all day and to manually take notes. It's like, no, stop doing that. You are asking to either go out of business, you are asking to lose your position in the market that you fought hard for years or a decade or multiple decades. You are going to lose your footing, maybe lose your business if you are still kicking the can. You don't have 15, 20 years like you did with the internet. Not how this works.
Yeah. Wow. I love the way you've put urgency on it, and you also put reasoning behind that urgency, which is totally true. And you hear people say, use the urgency card, because marketing, right, today in 2024 is all about how you're missing out on everything. And now that it feels like everyone else is missing out on AI, but this is truly, truly the case. Ladies and gentlemen, check out Everyday AI. It's live on LinkedIn. That's where I suggest you go and connect with Jordan Wilson. His full name, accelerantAgency.com, is where you're going to find all the cool stuff that he's up to. And I will have all those links in the show notes for you, whether you're listening to this on We Are Podcast or Amplify AI. There's going to be, a section of this put into Amplify AI, and obviously a section on We Are Podcast. Jordan, thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Ronsley, appreciate you having me. This was fun.
Yeah, little slice of heaven. Thanks, man.
Hey, AI Geek, thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI geek. Until then, much love.